Listen, everyone and their mother has a DM burnout video because it's so real and relatable, but I'm going to try to give you some advice that I haven't heard in any other videos. Hey everybody, it's Nick, and we're in the middle of this series about logistics of D&D and managing your game, and hopefully they're shorter, crunchy, specific, tangible, useful, helpful, and other adjectival videos on how to help manage your game and make sure that it doesn't fizzle out and just stop meeting from week to week. So if you want to see more of these videos, obviously like, subscribe to the things. I'm legally obligated to tell you that according to YouTube's fine print that I have just made up. So here's the thing. There are a lot of really good videos about DM burnout and how to prevent it, and I will sort of sum them up here. Obviously, they're really cool. You should go watch them from a lot of really good D&D YouTubers. But the basic advice tends to be, if you're feeling burned out, take a break, watch some movies or TV shows, read a book, something that inspires you and makes you want to run again, and be a player if you can, because that will excite you and get you ready to jump back into the DMing seat. That is sort of the nuts and bolts of what you see in most DM burnout videos. But I don't think that covers everything. Don't get me wrong, I think that's really good advice, and if you are feeling burned out 100%, you should do those things. But that's how to deal with you already feeling burned out. How do you deal with preventing burnout in the first place? My tactic for this, and every time that I have employed this, it has worked and I haven't been burned out. And every time I have forgotten to employ this, I get burned out. This is 100% success failure rate for me. Take regular breaks as a DM. Preemptively, not before you're burned out. Take breaks from the campaign. It is unreasonable to expect yourself or anybody else to DM weekly in perpetuity for the rest of your life in like a 5-year campaign. Some people can do it, but most of us, that's ridiculous to be that creative for that long, to have that much stamina and energy. It takes a lot to run a game and prepare and do all the things. That's really tough. So expecting yourself to do that is a great way to set yourself up for failure. So I try to run for about 3 or 4 months at a time. I play weekly games, so I run weekly for about 3 or 4 months, and then I try to take like a month or more off and say, listen, we've finished a little arc or whatever here, a chapter in our story. Let's take a break. And maybe I'll do some one-on-ones, some downtime with players, because that usually jazzes me up and gets me real excited. But otherwise, I'll just take a break. I'm not going to plan or prep D&D. I'm just going to have my Saturdays back. I'm going to take a break. And that really helps you because you passively take in as you're watching movies, or you're watching D&D content online, or reading books, or playing video games, or whatever, and you're like, oh, that's a really cool scene, or moment, or villain, or NPC, I want to put it in my game, and you just sort of passively come up with all this stuff, and it becomes fun and exciting again, not homework like it sometimes feels. Also, run the stuff you believe in. Don't feel like you have to run this type of game or that type of game because of either players that you have, or the world that you're boxed into, or the module that you're running, or whatever. Run a game you believe in. Run a game that excites you. If you're playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Vikings really excite you, and that Norse mythology and everything really excites you, like it does me right now, which is why I'm using that as an example, run that in your game. Put a bunch of Norse stuff in your game. Put a bunch of Viking things in your game. That's really cool. Your players will get bought into it if you are excited about the stuff you're running. So obviously there are really, really good videos out there on how to fix DM burnout once you have it. But to prevent it, my advice is take regularly scheduled breaks. Don't try to run forever. And run stuff that excites you. Don't run like things that you feel like you have to. Run things you want to. Next week, I think we're going to build off of this and talk about scheduling your games and the importance and the value of making sure you have a consistent and regular schedule. I think it might be the most important advice I have to prevent fizzling out of your games. If I had to pick a single most important video, that's probably the one that it'd be. So you don't want to miss that. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.